Hello and thank you for joining the Monday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Ozugbakun. Today on the program, 4 policemen, 20 other Nigerians killed as bandits terrorized Nigerian communities. Amid importers scramble for naira dips for 400 to 475 naira. The second slide since the start of the year, and later on the show, Manchester United stay on top of the English Premier League after a goalless draw with Liverpool. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Adewale Adeoye. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for joining us again. Some scholars warn that we should never expect logic and reason to govern human affairs. We are living in that reality here in Nigeria. It defies logic that bandits could be kidnapping and killing policemen who are supposed to checkmate them. And bandits killed 4 police officers and kidnapped 1 other in an ambush along Benengwari-Funtua Highway in Katsina. According to a release by the police spokesman, Frank Umba, the officers were returning to their base in Kano after completing an assignment in Niger State when they were attacked and kidnapped. Umba says 16 officers attached to the Operation Puff Adder were involved in the attack. Many communities across the country are now being terrorized by bandits. Babajide, on and on and on. The president promised us that his government is going to do something about banditry and the general state of insecurity this year. And if you do a content analysis of our major news dailies last year, apart from coronavirus, NSAS, you discover that insecurity had, the largest chunk of our news reports, our headlines for last year. Now we've started a new year, and this is the same narrative. It's as bad as some areas, some farmers are, they are prevented from going into their farmlands or cultivating their plantation just because the bandits will tell them that, look, you have to pay a certain amount, and if you don't pay, you can't have access to your farmland. Babajide, this is getting ridiculous. Any government that cannot guarantee the safety of life and property, that government, I don't know, this government is not living up to its billings.
Yes, I've said it repeatedly that the biggest problem we have now in our country is security. Security is our biggest problem. It's bad enough that in the Northeast, you read stories of soldiers being killed by Boko Haram. Boko Haram having the audacity to attack military bases. To even think of going there is bad enough. You understand?
Because if you check the configuration of a military base,
yes, you know that you are taking the battle to the enemy, to the military. It's like you can see that, look, this person has the capacity to crush you. You are not mates, but you are still going, you are going to meet him.
A David and Goliath situation.
Yes. It's not David that simply looked for Goliath's trouble. David needed to first protect himself and his people. So David responded to a threat and taunting by Goliath. He was taunting a complete race. Because he felt nobody could stand up to him in the whole of Israel. So it wasn't as if David simply took the decision to go and fight above his weight category. No. It was inevitable. So in these people's case, they kidnap soldiers, they go to military bases, they snatch weapons. The record is there. It's not what some people want to hear, but it is the truth.
Attacking super camps.
Yes. It's on record that super camps have been dislodged with dates.
So, I thought that name super, the mega camp, that it will make it unreachable.
when you are dealing with an enemy that is prepared to die, the enemy that is prepared to die is prepared to take any kind of risk. Any kind of risk. They know that they are not likely to come back alive. But what propels them is that dogma that, look, if you do this, you go to heaven. Otherwise, you have to think twice before attacking an army base. An army base, not to talk of even a super camp that is much stronger capacity and everything than an ordinary army base. You know, well, this is the thing. We are talking about security in our country. Security has collapsed. This is a fact. I am personally shamed about that.
I read a report today, Punch newspaper, that Ilesha,
Yes.
Korea Expressway.
Yes.
Some people were abducted.
Yes.
Kidnapped.
Travelers.
Ilesha, Korea Expressway, just.
Yes. These bandits are making it extremely dangerous for one to travel in any part of the country. Look at even Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. People may go on that road 1,000,000 times. There may not be an abduction. But it doesn't mean that abductions do not happen. Look at the expatriates, the Indians that were kidnapped on that road. So no one is safe. Look at the hotelier that was kidnapped in Ado-Ekiti in broad daylight. It's not that they picked him up in a forest or along the road in the forest. No, in the heart of town. This is what we are talking about. And it could be anybody. I was reading some guy the other day who said, I go on Abuja-Kaduna highway all the time, and nothing happens.
Suicide mission.
So how about other people who have been kidnapped? Are you going to say that they've not been kidnapped? That people have not been? Are you going to say people have not been kidnapped on that road? Even the governor of the state, there was a day that he joined the security people in chasing bandits.
Away from
So what is the point that you are making? That road, from the records of the police,
It's almost a no-go area.
That road is not safe.
Abakari has been to that road several times.
Yes.
To dislodge bandits.
When I interviewed the IG in March, I brought about the matter of that road. I said, this road is not safe. What can you do, sir?
It was almost neglected for the train
It's not as if I use the road, but I feel for people who are dying. People must understand. This is not a matter, it's a matter of national interest that we secure that area. That you have gone on that road many times, you are lucky, does not mean that it's not safe. The record is that that road is not safe from police records. It's just sometimes we do not really want to care about this. I can get a record of all the people that have been kidnapped on that road from the police. What are we talking about?
Go to Google. Just Google it.
Police
Abuja,
record.
Kaduna
Let me tell you.
Expressway. It will bring all the cases.
Ayo. A lot of the cases you see on
Police station.
what's it called? In the police record, they are not on Google. There are far more people, more cases that are reported that you don't get to see reported in the newspapers. The police have a much detailed,
comprehensive,
more detailed
report about the attacks.
That's what I'm saying. So that is the thing. That's one place. Brinengwari, we've been talking about this Brinengwari road for so long. For so long, it's been like that. Airport staff in Kaduna, you know, when I went there and I said,
9 o'clock.
it's only morning flight that
They operate in Kaduna
Many people will
airport.
say, Jide has come again. He's exaggerating.
After the morning flights, the airport will be deserted.
Fan
Federal Airport
officials,
Authority of
fan
Nigeria.
officials went to meet the governor and told him that our airport is not safe. Because that is the truth. That road leads to Brinengwari and the forest. From even that place, because there's a forest institute of forestry in that area. From that whole area, the forest leads you on. So we've not been able. Can you imagine? People went to launch an attack. For an operation, and bandits are ambushing them. It reminds me of the ambush of Nigerian soldiers in Shimfida Katsina State, where 18 soldiers were killed. Shimfida is in Jibia local government. This is the truth. No one will say, Ejide, what you are saying is not true. All of these things are true. It reinforces the fact that we must do everything to improve security in our country.
Unless there will be a problem. Wale, I've attended your programs, several interventions from your NGO, and at any given time, I see you assemble Arewa, you assemble the Yorubas, you assemble the Igbos, and the Middle Belters, they come together and everything. In all those programs, at the end of the day, this one will say, no, we're not responsible, we're not responsible. Who are these people? Who are these bandits?
It's a very complex mix. And when we are talking about peace, individuals have very important roles to play. But the most significant role has to be played by the government. Because the institutions of law enforcement, the government is the custodian of institutions of law enforcement, the justice system. And when you are talking about job creation, it is the government that is in a better position to do it. The bandits we are talking about is a contemptuous word. Say, when they started, we say, oh, they are just bandits, they will soon be defeated. But now they are becoming organized. They are human beings with names. They have fathers. They are from communities. Some women gave birth to them. So they are not ghosts. And there are records about them. They have families. They have relations. Some of them are married, even though we have a lot of young men. But they have parents. So it is not a rocket science to locate these people. Now, when they started, the Northeast, we say Boko Haram with some kind of political ideology. The bandits, they will soon fizzle out. But now they are becoming more organized. Look at what happened in Zamfara. There were reports of 100 bandits. 100. Even this case of the policemen in Beniguari-Funtua Highway. 100 bandits confronted 16 policemen. Those policemen must have fought gallantly because they lost 4.
100?
Yes. 100.
They always move around.
They lost 4 policemen, 1 missing. Then the other, so they must have fought gallantly to confront 100 people that were they must have been exceptionally trained people. Now, the problem is that you are seeing bandits in hundreds. How many people do you need to destabilize a nation? When Castro wanted to take over Cuba, there were less than 80 people. Now you are talking about 100 people in Zamfara, 100 people in Kaduna, and countless people in forest, armed. So you see, you cannot talk about development when there is no stability. Nobody wants to come and invest in your country when your country is not stable. Nobody wants to do business with you when your country is not stable. And we are talking about COVID-19 in a period where people are supposed to stay at home. We are having active violence on our streets, on our highways. So I think it's a very big problem. We closed the curtain of 2020 with, blood, kidnapping, killings, and now we are opening up this year again with strings of deaths and murder. It's a very unfortunate thing. Our leaders, like you said, we have done several recommendations. They have to listen. Because we've said so many things. Are they really listening to us? And then if they listen to us, are they acting? They need to listen to us. They need to hear us very well, and then they need to take practical action.
There have been funny stories about, bandits making their way from wherever down to your states, foreign countries making their way down to porous, due to porous borders. Babajide, these people, they seem to be very, very armed, and some of them, they even possess landed properties from traditional rulers in Nigeria.
Yes, that's the truth is, and I've been saying it since maybe like 2016, 2017. Because I went to Dansabao, I saw victims of banditry. They told me that the people who raided their village, stole their cattle, and set their houses ablaze were not Nigerians. They are not Nigerian. Mr. President, I hope Nigerians are listening. Nigerians, especially those of them who simply like to twist things. Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari went to Mambila when they were trying to make peace between the indigenous people of Sadana local government and the Fulani. And Mr. President said, see, people come all the way from Mauritania, from Niger, and other countries. Some of them just, oh, well, we are Fulani. The president made it clear that a lot of those people are not Nigerians. And he said anybody found carrying
AK-47,
any weapon,
that the security agencies should deal decisively with that person. Now, we've had peace in Mambila. The kind of killings that happened at that time has not happened since the peace moves and all that. The point that I'm making is that the people causing this problem in our country, from experience, from the interviews, from the investigations that I've conducted, they are not Nigerians. They are not Nigerians. We are so wide open that people will come in through our porous borders, foreigners from Niger, from Chad, from northern Cameroon, and be pretending that they are fellow Nigerians, and greedy traditional rulers will go and give them plots of land.
Will sell land.
Where they will now feel comfortable and be killing your own people. It's time for people to engage their brains. The victims have said, see, the people who killed us are not Fulanis. I still have the interview. If people need us to play the interview to hear from victims themselves.
They are called Ilanis.
Say, Barayi Hilani. Hilani is another word for Fulani. And they describe them, that you see their hair growing all the way down. Our own people are not like that. They made it clear that they are not Nigerians. So what rights do undocumented immigrants, criminals, masquerading as headsmen, what right do they have to come and kill our people?
Bringing ammunitions through the porous borders.
You need to see some videos. You know, I always say that Niger Republic is like a failed state already. You need to see these Malians who entered inside Niger. Come and see what they are doing in Niger Republic. If you see the weapons at their disposal, because these are people who came from the war in Mali.
The same guys are coming into our border too.
Yes, no, the same people who come in. Because, look, why is it that Boko Haram is harassing people in Yobe? When the heat is turned on them in Borno, you see them, they will come out in Babangida and Yunusari local government area of Yobe. They come in through Niger Republic into our country. As long as we can't secure all of those entry points into our country, we will not be able to solve this problem.
Okay, I have my first caller. Morris is calling us from the United States of America. Thank you for joining us, Morris.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Where are you calling from in the U.S.? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Green Bay, Wisconsin. That's from the Midwest.
Okay, Wisconsin. Oh, Wisconsin, very close.
Yeah.
Wisconsin, very close to Chicago. Wisconsin, very close to Indiana.
Correct, you're right.
St. Paul's.
Okay, I'm a very avid follower of your program, and usually that's why I'm listening to you live.
Okay.
And I want to thank Babajide and all of you for beautiful thing you're doing in your program.
Thank you.
And yes, and about the security situation, and everything you're talking about points to in leadership in the country. So if there is checks and balances, I think the executive will know what to do. It's a shame, that people are dying every day in the country and nothing is being done. And for us overseas here, it's a shame sometimes when people, even here, follow what's going on in the country and ask you what is happening in your country. So thank you for what you're doing, but push more for there to be checks and balances. Otherwise, things won't change. Thank you for your
Thank you. Thank you, Morris.
Yeah.
Thank you for your contribution. So it's still the same thing we're pushing, that these people, heavily armed, they have the infantry to come into our country. We don't have a database. We don't have the national ID card. We don't have anything to identify who is a Nigerian or not non-Nigerian. Everybody mixed together. And if these people, if they can give the traditional ruler or the so-called Bale money to pay for 2 plots of land or 2 acres of land, they'll start living and they start bringing in their people.
Yeah. It's a thing that we need to get the traditional rulers involved. And if possible, there should be sanctions. Because there should be a process before anybody gets a piece of land. You can't just come from anywhere, and nobody does that in any country. You just go to US and then you just get a land like that. People will check your background. People will know who you are. Are you involved in drug? You know, where do you even get the money that you want to use to purchase the land? But here people could just come, and then the next thing is for you to give them land. And I think this thing has been planned, over a long period. So when they assimilate to those communities, they become a force to be reckoned with. When 10 people come in today, they go and bring, before you know it, in the next 1 year, they become 500 people. And they have to survive. They are not artisans, they are not, so the only way they can survive, and they are coming from war zones, the only weapon that they can use to survive is gone. So they want to eat, they want to live. So they will pounce on the most vulnerable people in order for them to survive. And if we are not careful, they will begin to have stronghold in our territories and grow wings that become so difficult for us to deal with them.
These people are different from hardworking Fulani people in Nigeria. That's very big tribe and hardworking and honest, most of them, and everything. But this, we must say it, that because there's always this tendency to say Fulani headsmen, Fulani the headsmen. But the word Fulani,
a lot of them are not even. They are not headsmen. Because when we say they are headsmen, we have to show the distinction. Some of them don't have cattle anymore. They are just into. I've seen interviews that
terrorists,
Abba Kyari and Co. conducted. One said, "Look, I used to have cattle. I was a victim of cattle rustling. Then I took to criminality." That can't be an excuse. Yeah, you are a thief. You are a rogue. You are a criminal, and that's the way they should be treated. A time will come when Nigeria, because I'm already seeing it, even along the Abuja-Kaduna highway, villagers are slaughtering bandits now. If they get hold of a bandit, they will give him instant justice.
Nigerians should rise.
Nigerians will rise. No, we must not encourage
extrajudicial justice.
But the thing is, if we do not move as a government and as a people,
telling you,
a time will come when the people will brush the security agencies aside and do the job by themselves.
I'm telling you.
And that will be very bad. It will be worse than the bedlam that the irresponsible people who hijacked the NSAS protest visited on Lagos and other areas.
All right. Now, moving on now. The Nigerian currency, the Naira, continues its battle for the value against the American dollar. The scramble for the dollar, coupled with a shortfall of forex supply, have been putting more pressure on the Naira, such that it has dipped to 475 against the dollar. This is the second slide of the Naira in the unofficial markets since the start of the year. Experts blame this on the return of the commercial activities after the end of the New Year holidays, which requires Nigerians businesses to secure for more dollars to replenish their stock. Babajide, what is happening to our Naira? It has always been like this, but for a long time under Godwin Emefiele, we achieved stability. Some will say we're defending it with our foreign reserve, we're defending it with dollars, but it was hovering between 360, 350, 360, 370, at least in this administration in the last 2-3 years. But all of a sudden, towards the last quarter of last year, it picked up 420, 430, 460, 470, now 475. Though it's over, it's coming up short. At the point in time, it was 481.
The truth is, no matter how hard he has tried as the CBN governor, he has not been able to give us the value that we want to have for our currency. And not entirely his fault. We are not producing. And we are not producing competitively. If we are not producing competitively, then we should expect that we'll face this problem. The way to go is to look for other sources of revenue generation aside from oil. But unfortunately, our dependence on oil is huge. Yes, government has been encouraging concentration on agriculture. But we know that you can't simply make enough money by relying on export of primary agri-products. You've got to turn those primary agri-products to something that will be competitive in the export market. For example, look at a country like Switzerland. They don't grow cocoa, but they make the best chocolates. And the money that you make from selling chocolate,
Cocoa.
you can't even compare to what you make by simply selling cocoa. You look at foreign exchange that a country like Cote d'Ivoire generated from cocoa and compare to what Switzerland made from selling chocolate, you get the point that I'm making. The difference is like night and day.
Finished products.
Yes, the difference is like night and day. But in our own situation, how do you turn these primary products to secondary products that are competitive when you don't even have electricity? Electricity is the oxygen of businesses, not just manufacturing.
Yeah.
We are unable to generate enough electricity for our manufacturing concerns. Man has been raising a lot of alarms in the last, they've raised alarm consistently in the last 3 months that, look, do something about electricity. A lot of them are reliant on generators and all that. And that is a disincentive to business. Remember all of the businesses that have left our country for Ghana and other areas. I even heard that even Nestle is preparing to leave. So there's a lot that we need to do. We can't simply, the Naira was 165 when Emefiele took over. So I can't sit here and simply be praising him. I know it's not entirely his fault, but when you look at, even when we are talking about defending the currency, there's only a point that you can get to, because you can't simply continue. And if we want to rely too much on foreign investors coming into our country to help us show up our dollar base, a lot of them will prefer that you float your currency. Because right now, we have different exchange rates. We operate multiple exchange rate module. They are not interested. A lot of them are not interested in that. But if you decide to float the currency, we may end up buying a dollar at 800. That is what a lot of those investors will want to see. But is it good for us?
No.
So it is. So we have to solve the problem our own way, and it is for government to come up with the right policies that will stimulate production and also encourage export that is competitive. Not simply to grow rice and rice that we cannot sell beyond our country.
Mr. Adoye, there was a time that people would take our Naira and they'll go to Dubai, they go and purchase goods, and you know, it was so good that they could purchase things from Dubai. The Naira was a little bit stable. There was a time people could go to Ghana, people go to Togo. What they is it their cedis? I mean, Ghanaian cedis, francs.
Togolese franc,
But
Beninese
at least I've had to go to their car market at a point in time to go and purchase something, and coming back, when you look at the foreign, but today, all this from CD to what they spend in Dubai, they all seem to be doing better than the Naira.
It's a huge problem, and the problem started a long time ago. At the time, the Naira was stronger than dollar. Yes, and at that time, Nigerians could stand, they could stand tall anywhere they go. If you attended secondary school in the 80s and 70s, there used to be this talisman. They were asked to send money. You send Naira from here to India. The Naira, you send it from here to, If you are sending money to people abroad, you package it Naira and send it abroad. You will change it there. When your Naira has no value, it means that you are going to the trash bin of history in terms of industrial growth, in terms of progress, in terms of everything. And I think we can trace the renewed onslaught on the Naira began with the structural adjustment program of Babangida. And when people begin to give you loans, there will be external prayer that you must devalue your Naira. It's for their own gain. And now we are compounded with a lot of problems. The decline in export, then the fall in the price of oil in the international market. And then we are not a country that is export-oriented. We are consumers, even up to toothpick. They produce abroad and then we bring them here. We don't produce. Most factories are moving out. And of course, the backbone of industrial production is iron and steel. We started in 1979. We had one in Alaja. We had a tool industry in Oshogbo, in Jos, and I think in Warri or wherever. All those things have collapsed. Because when you are talking about the industrial strength of any country, it is iron and steel. But we have been on it now for 40 years with the Russians. In the age of Brezhnev, Shehu Shagari and Leonid Brezhnev, 79, 40 years, we have not made any progress. So if there is no foundation for industrial growth, which is iron and steel, you cannot be talking of manufacturing. So I think we are more or less in a mess, and it's an historical thing. But the responsibility of the present regime is to change the tide and correct the historical error, which did not start today. Because when your value, in fact, recently I traveled to Togo, I realized that the way people used to scramble for Naira, it's no longer like that. Anytime you take Naira to Ghana, people want to bring the money. So I think there is a relationship between physical discipline and industrial growth of the country. Corruption is also part of the problem.
Okay. Yeah. I have this call from Omolade. Omolade is calling us from Akure in Ondo State. Just turn down the volume of your monitor.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Omolade.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
God will continue to bless you.
Amen.
I'd like to contribute to security.
Okay, please go on.
Sometimes in November, when you were discussing this thing, somebody mentioned from Lagos that we need to have power and good road. And Major Akipelu said, that one is not the next thing that should be gradual. But I want to stress it now. When we are talking of insecurity, power is so vital. When anybody attacks anybody in the home, when it is in darkness, the whole place is as dark as coal.
Yes.
So what are we saying? Even where these kidnappers, banditry, it is the worst place on the road. Even when we are talking of this high tariff, on electricity, we should ask for the power. If the power is there, if we are asking for 10 times of the tariff, we will pay. So if we say we should even strike, even the labor should strike in this country, it should be on power. Yes, power. Now we make many of our graduates, to be self-reliant.
Thank you, madam, for your contribution. Thank you, Omolade from Akure in Ondo State. Babajide, I think she nailed it.
Yeah. When you even get to some neighborhoods, everywhere is pitch darkness. So it is an incentive for armed robbers to operate. Even Boko Haram. That's why when they attack Nigerian military bases, one of the things that they are looking for to steal is the night vision goggles. You know? Yes, because the night vision goggles helps them in the event of night combat. So I agree with her, although the problem is a lot bigger than that, but I agree with her that we need to improve on that. But talking about our foreign exchange problem, the truth is, even forest bills that the CBN governor has to pay already are in excess of 5 billion. Airline remittances,
5 billion.
yes, dividends of foreign investors here. And whether you like it or not, you have to pay.
You have to pay.
It's a problem that had always been there. You know, you have to pay. Because they conducted their businesses here in Nigeria. So you have to pay. But the CBN governor will be looking at inflows and then decide whether this is the right time to actually pay.
Timing.
You know, so we still have to do something about generation. Generation of foreign exchange by looking beyond oil and see what we can bring in. Because right now, we cannot make the kind of money that we made some years back from petroleum, you know, from crude oil at this time. And once we don't make enough, definitely to put pressure on the foreign exchange market in our country.
Wale, Jide said something earlier about a particular company getting ready to leave the country. And that would not be the company that we've been looking at now.
Yeah.
When you go to the whole of Acme Road in Ikeja, Oba Akran, Acme Road, Obafemi Awolowo Road, you will see those
Ikeja
companies.
Industrial Estate.
Yes,
Yeah.
The same thing Kano.
left already.
Chalawa,
They are gone.
Bompai,
Textile
all of them.
companies, just go to that Oshodi where you used to have the MPs of this world, big textile company, they've all gone. And most of these edifices, they've been converted to churches, worship centers, churches, worship centers. And that's the level of how spiritual or religious it might be. That's a discussion for another day. But ultimately, we depend on everything. We depend on importing everything because we don't have anything on ground here. And if you intend to establish a company as a businessman to start manufacturing, the atmosphere is very hostile, without light.
Yeah. Well, I think the government, I don't know what the government is doing to stop those companies that want to leave the country.
How will you stop them?
Because, no, if there are bailouts, though there are private companies that are doing by,
their books over the years.
But you see, the government needs to enter into constructive engagement with Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. What can we do? It should not be a helpless situation. The first drove of companies, first set of left years back, then the second set are leaving now. The government should engage them, even if it's to grant tax relief, because the number of people that will lose their jobs, primary workers and then secondary workers, you know, is huge.
Yes.
So I think the government should not just fold its hands. There should be a kind of engagement with man so that we can see how we can save the situation.
Or come out with policies.
Yeah, policies that will encourage them.
Look at in Ghana now. If you are going to import raw materials for manufacturing, they tell you zero duty.
Yeah, this is duty.
So that's incentive. Yes, many countries are introducing it now
Tax
because of
incentive
Corona.
to,
It's
encourage
terrible.
manufacturers.
So, but in our own case, we are actually getting people to pay more tax.
But there was a time the
In
vice
fact,
president was
in
leading
fact, those people
that
that-
campaign
those
of
that
ease
have
of
left.
doing business. And it improves.
Ease of doing business is not simply about reducing taxes or even giving people waivers, you know, import duty, import waivers and all that. So it's about ensuring that your papers can be perfected quickly
within
so
the
that you can
shortest time
settle.
possible.
That's the main thing about.
I think they have achieved that. To register a company in CC now, within
do that
2 weeks,
online.
you can do that.
But we need to encourage companies to stay here.
Yeah.
If they don't stay here, then we can't go far.
We can't pray our way through.
No.
Do those factories, and it's so disheartening. All right, we'll take this break. When we come back, Emmanuel Akindibua will be joining us as we talk sports. Please don't go away. Stay with us. It's a multi-award-winning program, on arguably one of the best programs on television right now. And this is Journalist Hangouts. We're reaching you from our headquarters here in Lagos, Nigeria. We don't just talk only politics, and sometimes we delve into sports and sometimes into some other. Emmanuel Akindibua is joining us and for the Red Devils. And yes, now, getting to the top and staying there are two different things. But Manchester United are demonstrating that they have the capacity to sustain the position at the top of the English Premier League table. A goalless draw with champions Liverpool at the Anfield on Sunday ensured that the Red Devils remain at the summit, but can they hold it till the end of the season? Emmanuel, I was... because Liverpool is a very tough customer. I thought Manchester United will have to drop points for Liverpool. That was my calculation yesterday. I never knew that they will have to share the points.
Literally, I mean, it's still dropping off points because it was a result that kept them at the top, but of course put more pressure on them, knowing that City are on a brilliant run of form. But of course, let's look at Manchester United. Found their way to the top. This was a club that lost on the opening day of the season, 3-1. Were while up 6-1 by Tottenham, lost to Arsenal by 1-0. But here they are after 18 round of matches at the top of the table.
There was a time they were 14th on the league. They were on the table.
I mean, a run of 11 matches unbeaten in the last 11 match days has seen them move up to the summit of the table, scoring 34 goals and conceding 24. Wow. Maybe not a very remarkable run of form, but of course it's enough to keep them at the top of the table on 37 points ahead of their City rival City, who, by the way, have one game at hand. And of course, if they get that goal, that maximum points from that game, they could rise to the top of the summit. But of course, let's not take anything away from Manchester United. I mean, the last few games, one of the strong points of this Manchester United side is their away form. Most times they even get to do the business more away from home. 9 matches they've played away from home this season. They've won 7, they've drawn 2. As a matter of fact, they've not lost away from home this season. And that could be very, very crucial to their claim for the title, if it's anything to go by. At home, they are quite inconsistent. They've lost 3 of their own matches, including the scandalous 6-1 loss to Tottenham Hotspur. But of course, are they good for the title? Maybe, maybe not.
Julie, I studied that table very well, and I can tell you that it's not yet Uhuru for anybody. When you look at that table, it's a different ball game from what you last season. When you look at the points, when you look at the number of points, the number of matches played, and you check it, that this Manchester United can end up the 5th position if care is not taken. Yes, look, when you look at 1 point, 2 points, 1 point, 2 points,
it's true.
It's
true. One loss can drop you by 4 steps. Just one loss.
Very competitive.
So it's been a very competitive league this year. And I think many teams are doing well away from home. Manchester United, Leicester City, West Ham,
Manchester City.
They've all done well away from home. Maybe because away games now are looking more like home games. The fans are not there to provide the support for the home team, and give the home team the feeling of an extra player, So matches are much more competitive now. But from January up till now, no team has taken more points than Manchester United. Since Bruno Fernandes joined Manchester United, no club has taken more points than Manchester United. And that was what propelled them to qualify for the Champions League in the first place, overtaking Chelsea,
Leicester.
Overtaking Chelsea, overtaking Leicester, in the final game of the league, but instructively overtaking Leicester and placing third ahead of Chelsea that badly wanted that third position. So if they can maintain the consistency that we saw from January when Bruno Fernandes entered the team, then no one should say that they cannot win this league. No one. Remember, Bruno Fernandes picked 4 Player of the Month titles in 1 year, which is an EPL record. So, and he's been the power behind the team, although his form has dropped now, and apparently Rashford too, his form has dropped. Maybe he will need to concentrate more on his football rather than feeding children all over the place in England. Because
we just got to the knighthood from the Queen.
Yeah, but the truth is, if Rashford had been in form, Manchester United would have won yesterday's game, because the best chances in the game were chances that fell to Manchester United. Watch that second half again. The defensive performance was solid. Many people did not expect the Swedes to partner Harry Maguire in defense. That's Victor Lindelof. But he put up a very good performance. And Liverpool didn't really create good chances, apart from the long-range shot by this midfielder from Bayern Munich. What's his name? Thiago Alcantara. They didn't really trouble the defense. Yes, they had possession. But the best chances of the game were the chances that fell to Manchester United. So I can see improvement in their play. This is, when you look at what happened last season, look at the gap between Liverpool and Manchester United in terms of points, and look at where they are now. So you see a team in transition, a team that has really improved. So at a point we were all talking, what's his name should go? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but no one's talking about that. He's been able to bring back that culture.
Consolidated.
Because even during Baba Ferguson's days, he was winning games at Anfield, but many times he will be thoroughly outplayed. All that he would do is soak up that pressure from the first half, because they will come at you, soak up the pressure. Then in the dying embers of the game, you try to hit them on the counter.
Paul Pogba. Gary Neville said something that, look, that if there's any man that's going to make them to win that cup,
Paul Pogba will definitely be one.
The man.
Of course, his contribution, especially in the last 3 games, has been remarkable. Save for the fact that he didn't score the game in the game against Liverpool, but of course in the game against Fulham, I mean, he played a very significant role. And of course, I want to echo Babajide's thoughts on Bruno Fernandes. Apart from the fact that he had won 4 Player of the Month award, he has scored 11 goals in 18 matches this season. For a midfielder, that's a remarkable turnover in terms of goals. Marcus Rashford, 7 goals. Paul Pogba, 2 very significant goals coming in at a very crucial time. Remember, he's been out for a large part of the season. And I think the addition of Edison Cavani has also brought in some boost into Manchester United's charge. But of course, the Achilles heel for them has always been their level of consistency. We saw that in the EFL Cup semi-final against Manchester City, a game they could have won. They had all the chances, but they couldn't just take the advantage. And that could prove to be very crucial in the title race. Like the Ferguson era, he rightly pointed out, there was a lot of discipline. Even if they were not flamboyant or they had their bad days, but there was lots of discipline. This Manchester United side have not shown that level of discipline that you can see with a Manchester City. Even on days that Man City have their bad form, they still manage to grind out results. And when they are good, they go all out to get all the results. We hope Manchester United will demonstrate that level of, because, like he said, the title appears to be up and on for anybody. If Leicester City, who are third on the table at this point in time, could also start dreaming. After all, they did this.
Tottenham.
Or even the Tottenham.
Look at the points.
It's a very open contest this year. Very open.
But when you look at the character, as in, some people will tell you that the two best teams in the Premiership right now is, when you have, if you call Liverpool and Manchester City, that Manchester United does not have the character, doesn't have what it takes to sustain this, is it 2 or 3 points lead?
But the thing is, let me tell you, people simply say what they like and believe what they like. Today, the informed team, the team that is enjoying the richest vein of form in the league is Manchester United. Manchester City too, they are coming up. But in terms of the unbeaten run, Manchester United has the longest unbeaten run in the league. So if you are talking about consistency, what is the true meaning of consistency? The last time they lost was against Arsenal, and that was months ago. So they put in a long string of results that can show you that, yes, they've turned the corner. It's difficult. Yes, people will say, oh, they do not do well against the big teams. But apart from those, because that's if they want to count Arsenal among the big teams, but their position on the league table does not suggest that they are a big team anymore. You know? As far as I'm concerned, the top 6.
That is arguable. I'm sure.
No. Look at where they are. Look at where they are. Because a lot of the people who are saying these things are the supporters of Chelsea, supporters of Arsenal. But the truth is, Arsenal, they are down there on the table. So when you are saying, oh, they don't do well against the big teams, how do we measure being big? It's the first 6 teams. The teams that can qualify for Europe, they are the first 6 teams. And against those first 6 teams, the only team that has beaten Manchester United this year is Tottenham. So, and that contest is going to be among those first 6 teams. The way they play against themselves will determine who wins. I think this league is open. And in my view, the goalkeepers also have a big role to play, because if Liverpool didn't have the best keeper in the world in Alisson, they will have considered goals yesterday. Because that point-blank save from Paul Pogba inside the box 6 reminds me of the save he made against Napoli. Remember? So that's why you need a fantastic goalkeeper to win the league.
And a David De Gea too is...
But now it's not in the same class as Alisson or even Anderson of Man City.
Emmanuel,
well,
so your prediction,
well,
do you still see
halfway to the
this
season,
party?
We've seen 18 matches already for Manchester United, and I want to agree with Babajide to some extent that they look like a championship material, but they've not been convincing so far. I mean, the momentum we're seeing from Manchester City and the class that we know they are made of, especially what we've seen in the last few years, gives me that confidence that Manchester City may overtake them soon, especially the fact that they have one more outstanding game as against the 18 matches played by Manchester United. But of course, it's impressive so far.
Okay.
And we hope that
if
perhaps...
they overtake, then they must stay there. Last year, Manchester United beat Manchester City 3
times.
Yes, 3 times last season, including home and away in the league. It is still possible. It is still possible for them to beat Man City this year. Man City, yes, they are in good form, but can they also keep this form?
I have to leave there. Emmanuel Akidewa, thank you from our sport desk. Thank you. And the maestro himself, BKO, Babajide Kolade Tojo. Thank you as always.
Thank you for. It's good to have a Manchester United supporter with me in the studio.
And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another edition of the program. You can also watch us on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. God bless you. Bye for now.